Joining me right now to discuss this, though, is Republican Congressman Adam Kinzinger of Illinois. He sits on the Foreign Affairs Committee. He's also served in the Air Force in both Iraq and Afghanistan. He currently serves in the Air National Guard. Congressman, thank you for coming in.
You bet. Thanks.
We don't know all the details as we're laying out. Clarissa Ward is there on the ground. She was there just 2 days ago in this very town where this explosion took place. We do know, though, that American service members have been killed. And we do know that the Pentagon is preparing to have to notify these families of the horrible news. What's your reaction right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's tragic, and our prayers go to the families that are sitting by for this impending notification. This is the mess of war, fallen world, terrorists. This is why people sign up to go destroy the people that would do stuff like this. And I think the message from this is we may have liberated territory that ISIS held, but ISIS in terrorism and radical jihadism is an idea that if you retreat from it, it will grow. You have to stay on the offensive militarily, and you also need to stay on the offensive on ideas. You have to win the next generation of Muslims basically to understand that this is wrong so they can reject it within their own religion, similar to how we won the Cold War. There was a military component, but there was a social component. That's how we're going to win here. Retreating from a fight against ISIS is only going to send the wrong message and frankly pour fuel on the recruiting efforts of ISIS.
And you heard Abby lay it out right there. I mean, we know what the president said back on December 19th. He said very clearly, we have defeated ISIS in Syria. And Mike Pence saying that ISIS has been defeated even today. This is one of the reasons why they have cited they are pulling troops out of Syria, because they say that they have defeated ISIS. It doesn't obviously necessarily make it so, even though they may continue to say it. ISIS claimed responsibility here. Do you think this attack will convince the president to change course on the withdrawal?
I don't know. I certainly hope so. I hope, through this terrible, tragic situation, he understands that this is a terrorist group that he may want to leave, but they're not going to quit the fight. There's always a saying in these groups that America has the watches, but we have the time. We'll never be defeated on the battlefield. Where we can be defeated is at our heart and our will. And I wish people understood this is going to be a long-term fight. This is probably going to take even more decades, I hate to say it, not necessarily in Syria, but this fight so that we defeat them militarily, but also they're rejected within their own ideology. But to retreat from that, actually, if you're a recruiter for ISIS, you say, look, they pushed back the caliphate, but they left. We won, and that is fire for more recruits in the future. It's not our choice whether or not to fight terrorism. That's decided for us. Our choice is where we fight them, and I'd much rather fight them in Syria, Afghanistan, and Iraq than right here at home.
Congressman, the president's announcement to withdraw troops from Syria, do you think that contributed to this attack today?
No, I'm not going to say that. No. I do think the announcement to withdraw was wrong, and it could have fueled ISIS recruiting efforts because they can say, look, we defeated the United States. But this was contributed by a very evil person or people that have no regard for human life, that would do this against American soldiers, that would walk into cafes with innocent children and blow themselves up, all in the name of what they think their God represents. This is a cancer that needs crushed, and it needs rejected within the ideology of Islam.
I do wonder your view on, you say this is a boon for recruiting for ISIS, this announcement. Are U.S. though less safe after the president has made this announcement? You look at before today, there has been only 2 U.S. deaths killed in action in Syria since the campaign began there in 2014, 2015. Do you think that we're going to see more of this now?
I don't know. And again, I think to say that yes or no is a leap that I don't know and understand. I do know this. I do know that when America retreats, chaos fills a vacuum. We were critical against President Obama for leaving Iraq, and that's a debate we can have all the time. You have to maintain that same level of criticism then when it's the president that's of your party or anything else. This is a fight we have to lean forward on. And the American troops are very, very able to defend themselves in a fair fight. But when you send somebody, whoever this terrible person was, to walk into a crowd and blow themselves up, that's a tough thing to defend against.
I do wonder, Congressman, another one of the reasons that the president decided getting troops out of Syria is that he didn't want to have to make any more calls to the family members of those who've been killed in action. And that's exactly what the president is going to be preparing to do, again, right now. What's your message to the president right now?
You know, the message of the president is this: America doesn't retreat. When you sign up to be president, when you run for it, and when you swear in as president, you take on the mantle of having to do tough things like this. You will make decisions that will get Americans killed or injured. You will have to make these calls. But that's what happens when you live in a fallen world and you're the greatest country in the world. That's the target of these people. It's a I couldn't even imagine having to do that part of the job, but it's what you sign up for.
Congressman, thank you so much for coming in. And again, thank you always for your service.
Anytime. Take care.
Thank you so much.